Hello, everyone. It is Pal Ponder on Weather coming to you with my overall thoughts on my 2019-2020 winter forecast. The weather is like a puzzle. So what I'm going to do today is kind of try to put all the pieces of the puzzle together and kind of see how winter's going to play out for you guys. Before we get started, if you do like weather-related content, please consider subscribing to my channel, as I do a lot of these in the weeks to come. So let's get right to it. One of the teleconnections I do use a lot is the Arctic Oscillation and the North Atlantic Oscillation. And as you can see, there's two phases. So there's a warm phase and a cold phase. So when you're in this warm phase, you've got low pressure centered over Canada, and you've got high pressures blocking it on either side. So that pretty much creates what they call a zonal flow. So it doesn't allow the jet stream to dip that colder air down into the United States. Typically, when this happens, you essentially have mild winters in the United States. But when a jet stream is able to dip or go into what they call a meridional zonal flow, it allows the northwest flow kicking in and allows that jet stream to dip, and it has high pressure centered over Canada rather than low pressures, and low pressures on either side, that it creates this kind of negative oscillation flow, and is able to dip that jet stream down and bring that cold polar vortex air down into the United States. So I think that's one of the things that's going to play out this winter. Here's another piece of it. As you can see, there's another piece where you have that negative oscillation flow where it has that jet stream dipping down, and it what they call cross polar flow, and it allows that cold Arctic air to pour into the United States. And if it really goes negative, then the polar jet kicks in, and even Florida gets into the action. So I know a lot of you guys in Florida are wanting some snow this winter, but the jet stream's really going to have to dip for that. And you see that warm air overriding it, and you have that subtropical jet overriding the southwest flow into Texas, and it creates those overrunning events. And that's how you can bring snow into parts to the south and into Texas. Here's another look. Here's all the running means of the negative oscillations from 1950. You can see right now, back in April, we had a record 88 days in a row where the negative oscillation was negative, which broke an all-time record back from 1969. So now it's kind of turning positive, which we overall need. We've been pretty much below normal all year, and just this last couple of weeks we've been above normal in the south and the southeast. So we kind of need to we actually need to warm up for us to get colder again, believe it or not. And so if you look at a lot of the analog years back, as right now, you see the dip down and the negative oscillation. And if you go back to some of my analog years of 2014, 2013, some of the colder years in 2009, 2010, which we'll go over, which was also a very snowy year, back in 2007. So a lot of the blues, 96, 97 was a big snow year, 92, 93, 94. Those are all big analog years, 77, 78. So you can see when the years that were negative, it dumped that extreme cold air into the United States and it created a cold and snowy winter. So I think that's what we're going to have transpire. We just need to get, winter's still 3 months away. And here's another picture on how a negative oscillation looks over winter, where basically 2/3 of the United States is essentially well below normal, where it's mainly centered over the eastern United States, and the cutoff is central United States and a little bit above normal in the western United States. And the reason why that is, and it all has to do with the ocean temperatures. Right now, you can see the 60 north line. Now, this is a crucial line. So the 60 north latitude line, where you have extremely above normal temperatures right here above Alaska. This creates that, what they call high latitude blocking, where it lifts the ridge, creates the record temperatures in Alaska, and allows the jet stream to dip. And that's the pattern that we've been experiencing over the spring and summer, especially up north. And the next slide, you can see on the other side, which is a major flip from this year, again, on the northeastern part of the United States, it has this well above normal temperatures above the 60 north parallel line. This is crucial for the winter months. Last year, we did not have this. This was the opposite. So we have this convergence with this below normal ocean temperatures right here and above normal on top. This creates these overrunning events and dumps this Greenland block. And then you have the Alaskan ridge and creates that center blocking on both sides where it pours in that jet stream and allows that cold air to funnel into the United States. So that would be another reason. And so right now we made the transition into an ENSO neutral pattern on August the 8th. And according to the Climate Prediction Center, there's about a 55% chance this thing continues all the way into the winter months. And here's the latest guidance from the CFS V2 forecast. And it shows pretty much predominantly we're going to be right in that kind of that neutral zone where it's not really an El Nino, it's not really a La Nina. It's just essentially what they call an ENSO neutral pattern. But some of those years can be pretty cold and can be pretty snowy, as I can show you in one of my favorite analogs. Here is all the analogs from 1960 up until now of ENSO neutral patterns. So you can see a big favorite analog of mine this year are these 2013, 2014, 2014, 2015, 8 and 9, 3 and 4, 96, 97. You saw those years were those that were the negative oscillation years. These all kind of match up, right? 80 to 89, 90, 85, 86. So some of my favorite analogs this year, especially is 2013, 2014, were essentially, but at this time frame, we were at ENSO neutral and we were expected to be in an ENSO neutral, and that's how the winter played out. So I can kind of show you how that happened. So here is a phase that I follow a lot, is what they call the MJO, the Madden-Julie oscillation. It's a cycle that runs every 30 to 60 days around the world, and these are different phases and how it affects our weather pattern. So you can kind of see in this graphic right here that essentially your coldest phases in winter are phase 8, 1, 2, and 3. So you can see what, depending on what part of the country that you're in, here's phase 1 where it's cold in the northwest but warm in the southeast. Phase 2 is cold over Texas, cold in the southeast but warm in the northwest. Phase 3, so it depends on where the cycle is, and if you can match up the negative NAO with the same pattern where the MJO is, you would get that cold and snowy weather. And it's just something that actually cycles every 30 to 60 days. Here is what I follow a lot, and this has a lot to do with our upcoming winter, is the solar cycles. We're currently in solar cycle 24. Right now, we're at 172 days of no sunspots, which almost matches the 2009 analog. And a lot of you guys out there know what happened in 2009, 2010. It was a very cold year. It was the 25th coldest year on record. It was a pretty heavy snowfall year. So, and that would be another parallel of what might happen this year. And so here's the cycle 24 that essentially started in January of 2009. It's not supposed to end until January 2020, but a lot of people are saying it's not going to end until July of 2020. But if you go back and look at the low solar minimums, you see 2009, back in 2009, it was another solar minimum, cycle 23. We had a pretty cold and snowy winter that year. Here is 96, 97, cold and snowy winter. Around 85 time frame, cold and snowy winter. So all these kind of match up. Here's the late 70s, cold and snowy winter. So the odds are of us having a cold and snowy winter are fairly good just based on this. Of course, this is just one element, right? So I'm going over all different elements, and all we're trying to do right now is just kind of match all the pieces of the puzzle together and say, hey, well, this happened then, this happened then. So yeah, that could actually, if all this transpires, it could actually play out the way it is. So here's the next slot, what they call the Pioneer model. This is a long-term model that I use, and this is the latest projection of the Pioneer model, and it shows that negative NAO happening most of winter, affecting the eastern United States. And if you followed my winter outlook, this highly reflected that, where I thought we're going to have a pretty above normal snow in the eastern two-thirds, central two-thirds of the United States, getting into Texas and having pretty extreme cold going into the northwest regions. I mean, North Dakota regions into Wisconsin and filtering into the Northeast. And so this is the latest Pioneer model projection. So here is one of my favorite analogs for this winter was 2013, 2014. We went over all the ENSO neutral patterns and where we were at this time frame 6 years ago. And this is how the winter played out for that year. And this is the overall snowfall for that year. And you can see there was a lot of snow that year, and it was pretty cold. So well above average in the Dakotas and the Northeast, and he got all the way down to the central United States, even down to the Texas got some snow. There were parts of the Panhandle got some snow, even to the southeast regions in Tennessee and Virginia, and of course all these mountain regions here. So one of the caveats is if this breaks down, if this Greenland block breaks down sometime late February into March, of course this is a long ways out, it would allow more of that flow to come, this cold air to be centered further west. So it shifts over the PNA and it allows that cross-polar flow to shift further west. And some of you guys in the western zones would be affected. But that, again, that is 6 months away. And so this is something I would be updating on a regular basis. So that kind of gives you an idea of how I think maybe my overall thoughts, how the winter 2019, 2000 winter forecast is kind of going to play out. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Leave me a comment below if some of the things that you liked in the video, some of the things that you wanted to hear more of, and I can give you an explanation in the comments. Please consider subscribing to my channel. And catch me at the next video where I protect you before and after the storm.